Hi, everybody. Welcome back to UL100ZB for the week of April 8th, 2019, and our citation module, which is part of visual literacy. We're going to go back in just a second, but on our Canvas course, I actually have given you links to two articles, and these are the citations for the articles below. I've done these citations in MLA style, but these are two articles that I'd like for you to take a look at and read on our Canvas course. The first one is by Barbara Pfister called Manual Labor, and the second one is by Michael Stevens. It's called Citation Fixation. And the reason I'd like for you to read these articles is that they both actually talk about the idea of doing citations in a certain way. And I want you to think about this idea for just a second. You know that when you're in different classes, and our class is no exception, we will often say, and your other professors will say, I want you to do a bibliography, or I want you to do a works cited page, or I want you to do a references list. And I want it to be in a particular citation style, such as MLA or APA. Well, you might go ahead and do that, but we don't really necessarily have the time to think about why these types of citation styles even exist in the first place. Why do we have to do these? What is the important part? Why are we actually doing citations? I want you to think about this particular concept for just a second. Remember that when you are doing a bibliography for a research paper or for a presentation or other type of project, the main part and the main reason for doing a citation is that reader of that document needs to be able to find that article or that book or that website easily in case they want to read it for themselves. That's the whole point of doing a citation. And of course, the other point of doing a citation is giving credit for the ideas that other people have actually created, the idea of copyright as well. So what we're going to be doing in this module is looking at two questions that are raised in these articles. So Barbara Pfister raises a question that maybe we as librarians need to even just stop teaching citation styles, because there are different arcane rules that might get in the way of the real purpose of citing sources. So are we making things so hard that we are, again, actually losing sight of the whole purpose, that somebody needs to be able to find that article or that website or that book fairly easily? Why or why not? Michael Stevens, again, focuses on the fact that what are we missing when the focus lands on correct citation style and not the content that students are creating, and that we do live in a hyperlinked world. So the reason that we want you to read these two articles is that we don't want you to be so worried about a particular style that you lose sight of the content. But at the same time, we do want you to be aware that there are certain conventions that are out there that different authorities actually accept as conventions when it comes to citation styles. And the authorities exist in different disciplines. Many of you will be used to using the APA citation style because your disciplines, psychology, social sciences, and so forth, are calling for that citation style. Others of you who are more in the humanities will probably use MLA throughout your college careers because that is what is accepted in the disciplines of the humanities. And part of this is just realizing what's accepted in your particular discipline and following it accordingly. So let's compare some differences. Believe it or not, there is a philosophy behind using APA, the American Psychological Association citation style. It is designed specifically for scientific research with an eye toward publication. And it actually establishes rules of style in scientific writing. So in APA, what we find is that the focus of the citation is upon the year of the publication. So you will put the year in parentheses, usually immediately following the author's name. It's also concerned with accuracy of complex materials, so tables and statistics are actually going to be covered much more in APA citation style than they will in MLA. And finally, something you might notice in an APA citation is that the initials of the first names of authors are used. We don't actually spell out the first names. So if I've written an article and if it's cited in APA style, I will appear as Kane C, not Kane Cynthia. And And part of that is to avoid any potential bias of gender. But the focus, again, is upon the year of the publication and the complex material. So in a nutshell, that's why APA looks the way that it does. The philosophy of MLA, in contrast, is a little bit different. It's less important to reflect current information when it comes to the humanities. Now think about this for just a second. If I'm dealing with a particular critical edition that might be a commentary of a novel or a short story, it may not really matter when that was published because the material within that critical edition is what is important. So we're going to focus less upon the year. In-text citations and references in MLA are more concerned with spelling out the full names of an author. So if I'm cited in an MLA citation, I'm going to be Kane Cynthia. So my full name will actually appear. The title of the source, and then they refer to this as a container. So in MLA, a container is thought of as the title of a journal or the title of a book or the title of a website. And unlike previous editions, in MLA, we don't put an emphasis anymore upon the format. So you don't have to say whether it's a print resource or a web resource. Again, the focus is more upon the authors, the title of the source, the title of the container, such as the title of the book, journal, or website, and then, of course, the other information that you put in, such as the dates, page numbers of articles, and so forth. So there is quite a difference between the two. Let's look at the differences. I have here the same article. This is the same journal article, but the first citation is in APA, and the second citation is in MLA. See the differences? Here are the initials of the first names of the authors in APA, but this is actually spelled out in MLA, and the et al. In MLA actually refers to the fact that there are multiple authors. But notice that these multiple authors are actually spelled out in APA style. 2015 is next as the date in APA because, again, the emphasis is upon the year of publication, not so much here in MLA. Another difference is that the title of the article, in APA, with the title of an article, usually the following words of the title of an article are in lowercase. We capitalize the first word, and if you have a subtitle after a colon, that first word is also capitalized, but otherwise it's in lowercase. In contrast, in MLA, the title of the article is set aside in double quotation marks, and all of these major words of the title of the article are capitalized. So we already see some differences. We spell out here volume 17, number 10 in MLA. That's not spelled out as much, but we still have the volume and the issue in APA. We have pages for both. And in this case, we had to put in that this actually came from EBSCOhost, so that's actually more of a container as well, but we don't actually put that in to APA. Now this DOI is actually in both. And that's something that stands for a digital object identifier. It's not there for every single article when you're doing a citation, but a DOI can actually be like a permanent link or a permanent URL for permanent access to that article. If you have a DOI number, you add it. If you don't have it, you don't worry about it. But you can see some of the major differences here already between APA and MLA. Now, if you choose to do the learning assessment for this week's module on citation, this is something we're going to have you focus upon. When you're within a library database, there's usually something called cite or citation tools that you can use to help generate a citation in a preferred citation style. However, it may need to be changed and edited. This is a very good example. So I used a database called Academic Search Premier from our library. And I used the cite feature, the citation generator, to generate an APA citation for this article, but it is not correct. I can't just copy and paste this into my paper because I'm probably going to get marked down for it. Again, remember what we talked about. Notice that these words are capitalized in the article title. That's because they were capitalized in the original record in the database, and the database is not smart enough to convert everything into APA format. So I still need to go back through and put these following words of the article title in lowercase, because if I don't, that isn't going to be correct. Now, there's a lot of help with APA style online. In a previous video tutorial, I showed you how to use Academic Writer, which is for APA style, and that's available on the Databases tab of our library's webpage. In addition to that, I have given you links, we're going to look at these in just a second, to other help features online with APA style. APA Frequently Asked Questions, APA Style Blog, and finally the OWL, the Online Writing Lab at Purdue, for APA Formatting and Style Guide. So let's start taking a look at some of these. The frequently asked questions about APA style actually comes from the American Psychological Association. And I like this because it can be one quick way of refreshing my memory of how to do a reference in a specific way for APA style. So if I am not sure, for example, how to cite a website, I can show and I can look here to see how I would actually put that into my in-text citation. And this will actually give me a lot of other interesting information. How do I do punctuation in APA style? What's grammar and writing style, formatting, and so forth. I also really like to use the APA style blog. And the reason I like this is that this is actually updated almost weekly by people who work for APA. And the great thing about this one is if I am not quite sure how to do citations for social media, I can just search for that in the APA style blog and I can find actually some credible and reliable help. So this article tells me how I could cite Instagram in APA style and how to find the elements that I need for the citation. How to cite a Twitter moment. How to cite a YouTube channel. We get lots of questions about that as well. So the APA style blog can be really handy for those quick questions that you can just search over here if you need quick answers for APA style. And finally, we've looked at this earlier, but this is the Purdue Online Writing Lab, or OWL for short, that will help you with how to do references and in-text citations for APA style. So you can always go back to this as well. There's articles and periodicals, and it will show you these examples that you can follow to do your own citations, your own references. Now, there's not as much help online with MLA style, but we're going to go back to this in just a second. There is also the OWL at Purdue site for the MLA Formatting and Style Guide, and there's also something directly from MLA, the Modern Language Association, for style.mla.org. And here is the Purdue Online Writing Lab site for MLA. Again, I can go down here, remind myself how to do a citation for a periodical in MLA style, for a magazine, for a newspaper, and so forth. And the MLA Style Center will give me a very quick guide for getting started with the MLA format. And I even have a little practice template that I can use here to help me on how to construct a specific citation. So again, there's not as much help available online for MLA, but this can be a good place, the MLA Style Center as well, to get some help and then just to get some refreshers on how to do your citations in that style. So looking ahead, one of our next tutorials will be on Wix, which is a free website creation program for use in creating the web portfolio and also to use for this week's learning assessment on creating an infographic. We also have a tutorial for this week's engagement activities and learning assessments in which you can learn how to actually complete the engagement activities of visual literacy and the TED Talk, and also our 2 learning assessments that you may choose to do for this week, the infographic and the citation. Good luck.